Does suffering end when we die? Let's get into it. Let's see about that. Of course, we can throw the suicide thing into this. So if we take our life prematurely, what happens? Do we just get a prison out of free card? Like, man, that was a good idea. I don't have to suffer all this anymore. Like, now I'm chilling. No body, no form, just, spacious. Everything's cool. Is that what happens? You see, we can't escape the destiny of what we're here to learn. Our higher self, higher consciousness, has incarnated into this form to play this game of, you can say, experiencing and transcendence. And then there's all these laws that run this show. Law of karma and law of, dynamics and everything, and conditioning, and we get layered into delusion, which is part of the game, because consciousness wants to transcend all that. Wants to believe like I'm this person, that's the first illusion, and then I'm this gender and I'm this race and I have this family and I have this health situation and I like this and I don't like that, and layer. Then all that causes strife at some point, and then we start suffering. Consciousness starts suffering its projections and its experiencing in its identity with this individual self. So then it's like, I want to stop this. But then, law of cause and effect, law of karma, the energy that we dished out, it has to kind of come back somehow. It's part of the play. Of course, if we're doing sadhana, that helps to nullify that. And in the midst of all that, though, you can have some really intense experiences, aka suffering. So then sometimes it's the mind that wants to check out and just leave and be like, this is too much, I can't take it anymore. So it's like, I'm out. Do you escape, though? If we got a lesson, you can look at this even in your regular life. You don't need to experience suicide to figure this out. Let's say you're in a relationship or something. Romantic relationship. There were some things that came up. You weren't ready to deal with that. You didn't want to deal with that, so then you blame the partner, because this is what the mind does. It doesn't want to take responsibility for anything or being hurt, so then it blames the person, like, oh, this person's stupid, bad person. All right, but there was some lesson there that you didn't transcend. What's going to happen? Later, you're going to get into another relationship. That same issue is going to come up. Confirm it for your own self. Maybe some can. Maybe, I forget. Like, people don't do as much introspection as I used to and did. But I would see that very clear. I'm like, damn, it's the same thing. Fear of abandonment, and so then I get needy and attached, and fear of being rejected, fear, low self-worth, all those same insecurities and inadequacies would come up. If I didn't deal with it in one relationship, it'd come up in another. Okay, this is what happens when if we escape this life prematurely. We're going to have to face that again at some point. Now, will we get a break a little bit? It's not, it's not like the same karma as if you kill somebody in cold blood. It's not like that. We'll get a little rest. We'll have we'll see things from more clear eyes, high perspective later at some point. At first, we're going to be confused. Should I finish that thought? At some point, we're going to reassess everything and see, oh yeah, like, damn it, I got to do this again. I flunked this class, I got to do it again. But then something's like, okay, that's cool, I got forever, it's all good. Okay, but the initial, see, if we take our life, we're confused. We're in a confused state, clearly. So then that confusion, that energetic confusion, it carries over. We leave this form, we drop this form. It's not like the confusion goes away and there's just absolute clarity now. Confusion goes with us. That's why somebody left a message asking me about what happens if you take your life. I told him to go watch that Robin Williams movie, What Dreams May Come. Because, like, what do you think? I can just give a couple sentence answer about, like, this is a huge topic. So I was like, watch the movie, because I like movies. I like when a movie depicts something. I like that better than reading a book, and better than listening to people generally. Depends who I'm listening to. But most, I'm like bored. So it shows. His wife committed suicide, and she was in a confused state. Like when he finally found her, he couldn't really talk to her because she was like dreamy. You know, she was out of balance. It reminds me. Look, I was in the Amazon I don't know, several years ago. That's when I was deep into psychedelics and plant medicine. I loved it. I got into it. Ayahuasca, San Pedro, and then I wanted to try this. Let me know if anybody's tried this. I haven't met anybody that tried it except me. It's called Toei, and it's a strong hallucinogenic found in the Amazon, and it's dangerous. And then these when people take this, you hear the stories. They're jumping around naked on cars, and they go crazy and stuff like that. So I wanted to take just a little bit. I just wanted to experience it, but I didn't want to do that. And you know what's sad? You know, when you're in these developing countries, there's the positive side. I like there's no laws really. I like this freedom, as opposed to when I go back to America. It's like I feel energetically immediately this martial law, claustrophobic, stifling feeling. You know, everybody's watching you. Throw something on the ground, the helicopter's going to come scoop you up, put you in jail. You know, but in these countries, it's not like that. But it's too much the other extreme, because you can buy this stuff at the local market for like. It's just no problem. They'll just sell it. They'll be like, yeah, this will help you, man. This is good stuff. And so I found a shaman. I had him instruct me a little. And I took it. It was the first. I've always handled medicine really good. I never lost my witness or presence when I would do medicine. No matter what kind of effect I would have, no matter visions, etc., I would still be there watching myself watch this, you see? So I was good. This medicine, like, removed the witness. I was like, I was gone. And so I saw what happened. This is how people, you see, when you're not there anymore, when you're not like watching what's happening, whether you realize you're watching it or not, if that's not there, all that's left is your subconscious tendencies. So, for example, if you had a lot of darkness in you that you hadn't dealt with, and you do something like this, that's going to come out, and then you hear about the insanity that people experience. Fortunately, through grace and through, you know, the work that I did my whole life, I'd already done. I didn't have any of that, so I was just tripping, not dangerously, but I was just tripping. Tripping meaning there was a girl in my cabin earlier, and then she had left because I did this at night. Her spirit came back. Her astral spirit came back, and I'm talking to her like she's on my bed, and I'm standing up talking. I can't remember the conversation because it was dreamy. It was like, you know, like you're talking, but you're not. You know, it was like the movie What Dreams May Come when he's trying to talk to her. And so, and then she disappeared. I was like, whoa, what happened? Maybe she went under my bed. Maybe she's like playing around or something. So I looked under the bed. She's not there. I was tripping. And then I had a watch on, and every time I looked at it, the numbers were backwards. So then I'd keep turning my wrist. I was like breaking my wrist, trying to I'm like, why are the numbers like, what's wrong? You know, I wasn't processing thoughts like I am now, but as a tendency, I was just trying to figure out like, well, what's going on? And then I saw this old lady, like hundreds of years old, like some kind of ghost on my bed. And I saw her prana when she was breathing. This air was coming out. And I was just looking at her, you know. Now, see, if I had darkness in me, for example, I might trip out. I might panic. I might grab a knife and, you know, who knows? That's the thing. And then lastly, I went out to get some water. I'm like, I need some water. And the cabin, the place to get, the kitchen to get water was like right there. I like go through the woods, like all the way around to get to the cabin to get the water, right? I don't know why. I filled the water up, left the water there, came back to my room, and spent like all night looking for my water. Yeah. So caution if you do that. All right. Does that tie into this subject about? Okay. So I feel if we take our life prematurely, somehow it's like that, because we're just kind of confused, you know. Look, man, there's no like absolute answer to anything. There's always other angles that you can look at. Like nobody can answer a question like this is what it is. It's just not like that. There's been some yogis in India who they're just finished. They did everything they came here to do, and so their inner sanction was like, you know what, I can just kind of leave now. There's really no need to be here. And then they would, their death would be like a ceremony. They'd go in the Ganga River, they'd do some ritual, then they'd go in there and they'd finish. That's rare, but it's different, you know, like that's not, you can't use that as a justification to try to escape yourself and say, yeah, no, I'm just, what it really is I'm done, and so I'm going to go out like a yogi. No. There was a documentary I watched, a movie, and it was about this guy that he dry fasted himself to death. He had some inkling that he's like, wait, if I just off myself, I don't think that's good. Because he had an idea in his mind that afterlife was going to be better than this life. This was his motive. He was suffering. This was his motive for leaving. But he somehow felt like if I leave prematurely, I don't know, he just had a feeling, you see? So he's like, what's the loophole? She's like, maybe if I dry fast myself to death, because then I'll burn all the karma that I might acquire otherwise if I was just, jump off a building. And so he documented. He went far out into the woods. He got far enough to where he knew that once after, a few days of dry fasting, he wouldn't make it back. And so then he would journal every day. He wrote in his journal what happened. And he got to like day 3 or 4 or 5, maybe, probably 5 or 6, I think, or 5. My longest is 5 days. It's a long time. No shower, no nothing, no drop of water. You start to find out how important water is. It's like when you haven't had water, like not even a drop for a few days, okay, and then you just put one drop on your tongue, you're like, damn, like, yeah, water's important. So he was writing. So it was like day 5 or 6. He started having all these. Those on my semen retention channel can relate to this. I have another channel, Beyond the Alchemy, for guys about preserving our sexual energy. How strong the sexual instinct is. So he's like almost dying, and he keeps having these fantasies of girls, and they're naked, and he's doing stuff with them. And he wrote, he's like, damn, this sexual instinct's strong. That's what I'm trying to tell these guys. Like they're worried about, like, I'm like, do you know what you're dealing with? Yeah, this guy, he knew. So then he's getting close to death, and it happened to rain. And some of the drops were coming in from the tent, and he couldn't help it. Self-preservation instinct, strongest instinct that we have. Sexual instinct, second strongest, you see? He put some of these drops of water in his mouth, and he was coming back to life. He says, damn it, why'd I do that? Because he felt the power of when he took this water, even though it was a couple drops. So that prolonged his experience. And then he started getting, because if you go long enough, you start hallucinating, Not that you're seeing things that aren't. It's not like you're seeing something that's not really there. I mean, that can also happen, but he got tapped in, dialed into the astral plane. And he started to see, there was a girl that died some time ago. She committed suicide, and she would go with this guy in a boat every day out into this lake and turn around and come back. And finally he asked her, he's like, do you do anything else? Like, is that? She said, no, this is what I do. Aren't you bored? She's like, I don't know. See, she was in that confused state that Robin Williams' wife was in, and that I was in when I did the Toei. So then he started thinking, damn, I don't know about this. Maybe this isn't a good idea, But he's like committed to his goal. And then he got to where it was like his last note that he made was, "I see the light." That's what he wrote. So we don't know what happened after that. Was that a true loophole? Dry fasting, did that burn off the karma so that then he could transition and everything's good? We don't know, you know. But there's something there. There's something there about that. Anyway, so because people were asking me, like, what happens if you leave the planet prematurely, and so I felt to make a video on it, and that's what we did. So now I'm going to make another video on a topic maybe that's more practical that we can use, which is something maybe, why is it so hard to surrender? Yeah, let's do that one. All right, I'll see you soon.